So hi YouTube, my name is Chris and this is kind of a deeper dive video. So it's a general reading, it's not time specific, it's not sign specific, and I'm doing the Celtic cross and explore the deeper meaning of whatever constellation comes up. Brace yourself, don't take anything that is not resonating with you. It's a general reading, but it's a big picture reading, so we kind of concentrate more on the functionality of things, you know, how things work in a certain constellation, so you can apply this in everyday life whenever you find it. There's something in it for you. Freeing yourself, right? That's the Queen of Swords. She's cutting her free from all these shackles. She has one shackle, I think that's the word, on her wrist, right? And she just cut herself free with her own will, with her own discernment, with her own focus, right? It's the butterfly queen, transformation, and you did your part for that transformation. You cut yourself free, you prepared, you focused on your goal, and now you're ready to go. And nothing can distract you, right? That's the Queen of Swords, beautiful in the center of the Celtic cross. At the same time, you're maintaining whatever works for you, right? Slow and steady wins the race, so that's the foundation. You could also say that's actually crossing energy of the Celtic cross. But you can say she is standing on top of that, right? So the basis on which her magic is happening, right, is practical approaches, right? So you're doing some work here, and that work makes it possible for you to free yourself. So keep doing that because it's supportive, right? And it's not like you're already in the harvest mode. It's not the 10 of Pentacles. It's not the King of Pentacles. It's the steady knight. It's the only stationary knight of the tarot deck, by the way. So keep doing what you're doing and keep your focus on what it is that you're focusing on, right? Okay, so this is the Hierophant who wants to come out, right? That's the real foundation of the Celtic cross here. Wisdom, discernment, right? She's taking action already. She's already focused. Well, actually, the King is taking action. She is still focused, but she's preparing to strike, so to speak. Make her move, right? But there's a steady energy. You're doing something that makes that even possible. And keep that, which is enabling you, what pays the bills and the rent, so to speak, keep that going. And it seems like you don't have to do much for it, but, you know, it's supportive. Keep doing what you're doing, right? In that regard. There's your discernment. There is your wisdom, actually. She's preparing to put that wisdom into action, right? Beautiful, very powerful constellation so far. The crown of your reading, wow. Yeah, I mean, there you take action, right? This is the discernment, the wisdom, the sage basically, or the Pope in this depiction, right? And here you take action as the magician, which is the crown of your reading. This is where you focus, right? This is where you regain your energy, where you maintain the basis of what you need on a daily basis. You maintain that, that's the foundation. And then you focus all of your wisdom. And why do you focus? Because you want to make it happen. You want to manifest it. And that's also the yellow color here, right? And yeah, there's a manifestation. Pentacles energy, you're making something real. Queen of Cups energy, also yellow, right? Pentacles energy, very easy, how was the word? Abundance, right? Very easy manifestation. The universe is on your side. It's all you need is there. Everything you need for your manifestation here. You got the focus, you got the wisdom, you got the basis, right? Place to rest, good food, you know, all that, that's the basis. Don't underestimate that. You can't really create and co-create with the spirit or universe if you're not rested, if you're not having access to good food, right? This is also You know, there's a reason why food prices are going up all the time, because food security, housing security, these things are fundamental basis. That's the fundamental basis, right, for every creative act, right? And if you want a uninformed, scared populace, right, people who are scared, who are not participating in politics, right, in society, actively in their environment, then you must keep them busy with lower needs like food, like housing. You know? If you spend half of your income for housing and a third of it for food, maybe, you know, there is a lot focus on that, on the earthly basis, basically. And if too much focus goes down there, right, to secure the basics of existence, basically, the less likely people are freeing themselves, right, to actually manifest, to gain wisdom and to manifest that wisdom and really to take action. And I'm very interested in what card is flying out. That's the King of Cups. So how do you take action? Compassionate, resting within yourself, right? You want to make something real. You're not fighting the old system. You're embracing the new system, right? So that's King of Cups energy. And the King, she is preparing the action, right? Strategically, logically. But how is the action executed? Kind of INFJ energies, right? With the King of Cups. The King of Cups, thought you might, yeah, that's the King of Swords. So you got the King, you got both, you know, you're taking action in both regards, compassionately, feeling, and intellectually with the King of Swords. It's a very powerful constellation. My God, the Queen, and here's the King. I kind of waited for him, but the Emperor, you're showing up as the Emperor from the outside world, right? But you're not really concerned about that. Totally not concerned about that, because you got bigger fish to fry. You got project here, you're manifesting something, right? But in the outside position, you show up as the Emperor. All 4 kings rolled into one. We only got 2 kings so far, but 2 queens as well, the Magician and the Hierophant. So, the Ace of Cups, beautiful, beautiful. Coming from a place of self-love, compassion, right? You love yourself, you respect yourself, you take yourself as you are with all of your light and shadow aspects, right? Very important, you have to love the whole of you, right? All of it, not just the nice, presentable, shiny stuff, but also the shadow stuff. And the shadow stuff has a right to be here. There's no light without shadow. There's no shadow without light. So don't hide it, don't negate it. Transcend and integrate it, right? Transcend and integrate it. See through it. And when I say see through it, you know, when you look at the shadow, don't see just the shadow. You see the shadow, of course, right? But whenever you're confronted, even with other people, you have to be careful though, but it's something that you should apply mostly to yourself, right? Not so much to other people, because dealing with other people's shadow is a very intimate thing, and you shouldn't do that. You should only do that with people that you're already deeply involved in, right? Somebody from your family or something like that, where you have a, I don't know, presumably decade-old deep bond with them, right? Don't try this on other people you just met, right? So try it on yourself, and you just look at your shadow, but you transcend it in the sense that you see, okay, it's not just a shadow. If there's a shadow, there must be light as well, right? If I see the light and I focus on that, remember, transcend it. If there's light, there must be shadow as well, because light and shadow belongs together. That's a duality. Don't see just one side of it. See the entire duality. So there's shadow. But there must be light as well, right? What's the light side of what I'm seeing? And try to apply that to yourself. to really become a friend of yourself, to be loving of yourself. Philautia, not narcissistic love in the sense of, oh, grandiosity, I'm the greatest, look at me, look at me. No, but just respecting yourself, loving yourself as the wholehearted being that you are, and that is with all of your light and all of your shadow. Coming from a place of self-love, self-respect, you're going to a place of the Four of Swords. It feels like you're taking action, and then after you did something, presumably big as it seems, you're in this frequency of, oh, sorry. I got my little tea here to help me speak. So you more or less working. Okay. So Four of Swords, that's how it ends. That's the outcome. You're making it happen. That's the crown of your reading. There's the Emperor. There's the King of Swords, King of Cups, Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, even the Knight of Pentacles. So there is something you're manifesting into the material world, but there's something that you have already been doing to kind of maintain or keep going what you have on the basis, what pays your bills, right? And on top of that, you're creating something bigger than that. So that's beautiful, beautiful. And you're coming from a place of love, you're coming from a place of wisdom, and you're taking action, focused, determined action in whatever direction that you choose. And you can fuel that precision and that plan with your wisdom and with your big fat heart that is finally loving the complete self of the complete being that you are, with all of your light and all of your shadow aspects. Yay. And then it seems at the end of it, you're just, that's meditation, that's processing something, that is kind of taking a rest basically. So you do something big and then you take a rest. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's just shuffle a little bit more for the bottom of the deck because that's all. Yeah, okay. Five of Swords, let's just keep Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Five of Cups underneath that. Right, you have been through something, right? That's the bottom of the deck.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
You've been through something, but you came out of it victorious. So there was a something blocking you in your mind. There was somebody mind fucking you, something like that. Mind games, telling you stories of guilt, fear, shame, selling you onto guilt, fear, shame, selling you onto questions like, who do you think you are? You're not good enough. You can't do this. Limiting beliefs, right? These were kind of implanted into us from very early age, right? To keep us down and to keep us subservient. And, then the Five of Cups came and something was thrown away, right? 5 cups, 3 cups were spilled, 2 cups are still standing. And there was this phase where you were mourning these 3 spilled cups, right? But if you look closer, there's a greenish, bluish liquid in one of these cups that symbolizes poison. So something that you've lost, it was a good riddance because, and you can mourn these other 2 cups that were good, but 2 cups are still standing. So maybe it's really just the 3 of Cups where 1 foul cup was spilled. And these 2 cups, well, you can only hold 2 cups at once, right? You only have 2 hands, right? So you got 2 cups standing, and this is the victory. That's the change in the mindset, basically, when you realize, okay, you turn around, right? And you're no longer looking into the past and feeling sorry for yourself, but you turning around, take your 2 cups, go over that bridge into a new life, And that's leaving the blockage behind. That is your victory. You might have had a dirty fight, but you're getting something out of it. And you're taking this opportunity and you're really going for it. You're really, really going for it. There's not one bad card. Let's do some clarifiers. Maybe a few past aspects might show up. There's the Chariot with the Queen of Swords. There's the Knight of Pentacles, clarifying the Knight of Pentacles. So very, very much emphasized here that you need to do something and maintain something that you have been doing. And it might be what pays the bills, right? And just be grateful for that and maintain that and take really good care of it, right? Be gentle with it and respect it for what it is and maintain it, right? You don't need to make big jumps here, but you maintain it. Knight of Pentacles 2 times. Yeah, that's the wisdom of the Hierophant, what I talked about. Finally, no longer looking back into the past. The concept of guilt, right? The concept of guilt is always a past energy. The concept of guilt, who is guilty, is a question that leads you into the past, which is taking your power away from the here and now, from the present moment. But as soon as you realize that the idea of who can I blame, who is guilty, that's what the little people do. They blame all day long. They externalize all day long. They can't see the light behind the shadow. They can't see the shadow behind the light because they only focus on what is directly in their face. It's bipolarity, actually, right? You can't see true and see the other side of it because it's a duality, right? It's not just one side of it. It's not just the darkness. There's light behind the darkness. That means to transcend and integrate it, right? No longer just negating it. But there are people who just can't do it. You can do it, right? Don't look into the past. Who can I blame for this, right? That's a disempowering, bipolar externalization. Disempowering, taking your power away. You're wasting the present moment by looking into the past. That's the concept of guilt. Who can I blame? And the blame is always pointing away from you. And the only person you can change in this world is you. So turn that around, right? Sure, you're not responsible for everything that happened in the past, but you're responsible for everything you do in the present moment. Always, no matter what happened, right? And realizing that is the wisdom of the Hierophant, right? So you come to that wisdom and then you're taking action on it. The Magician with the Ace of Pentacles. Big fat potential in Pentacles energy. You get the Ace of Pentacles, now the Ace of Cups, right? Yes, coming from that blocking mindset, and we've seen the Eight of Swords, third card underneath the deck, right? Yeah, leaving that behind and coming into your abundance mindset, right? No longer blocking yourself with your mind, catastrophizing, looking back into the past, whose fault, who to blame. No, you can blame whoever you want, right? But that's wasting your energy. The only person who is always not guilty, not to blame, but always responsible. You are not always responsible for your own life, no matter what happened to you, no matter who you could blame all day long. The only person responsible always is you. So take up that responsibility and then realize there's everything you need, right? You got everything you need. Emphasized here with there's the 2 times the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles. Now you got the Page of Pentacles, and Page of Pentacles is telling you you're capable, right? You got everything you need. So do it. By all means, do it. Working together with other people, more Pentacles energy. Pick your people wisely. Never negotiate who you are. and more pentacles, Two of Pentacles with the Emperor. There's some cups, and that's beautiful energy. The Nine of Cups with the Ace of Cups, loving what you're doing what you love. And last but not least, it's the Knight of the Knight of Swords and the Four of Swords. So Knight of Swords is taking action, really storming ahead. No more thinking, now it's executing, taking action. That's the Knight of Swords here. And that's a clarifier for the Four of Swords. So there comes this moment, as it seems, right, where you are really taking action, right? And really taking action doesn't mean that it needs to be somewhat grandiose or something, one moment, decisive moment, and I'm doing this and then I'm done, right? That's not necessarily, it's more like starting a process that is ongoing, right? So you keep going whatever you have going for you, because it makes a lot of sense here. The basic needs are covered and you just have to maintain it. Queen of Pentacles, fairly easy, everything will come in. So you can concentrate your creative mind, your manifestation onto this. By the way, the Chariot with the Queen of Swords, so supportive energy left and right everywhere. So taking action in the sense that, at the bottom of the deck, I mean, there's the Death card kind of lurking out, and the Hierophant again. Bottom of the deck is the Hierophant, right? So the Death card really doesn't make sense other than past energies. You're ending the conflict, no longer focusing on the past in that regard. You're kind of letting go of it. You're letting it die. Why? Because you're taking ownership of the moment and focusing on your responsibility and your possibilities that you're about to actualize, right? Do you see the differences that I'm showing in there sometimes, right? See through the one-sidedness of it all, right? And take action from that wisdom of having transcended the one-sided duality. The bipolar can only see who's guilty, who to blame. It wasn't me, no, blah, blah. Someone else must be responsible. Somebody else must be guilty. It's somebody else's fault, right? You know? That's the one-sidedness. But if you realize, okay, even if that's true, right? I can't sit here all day and blame other people in the outside world for whatever fault or guilt that belongs to them, right? Whatever they're guilty of, right? Past energy, externalization. The direction of the power is not going inwards, but going outwards into a diffuse direction, because you can't really address that, right? You can, but we all know how this is ending. Conflict, constant conflict. So by all means, call people out if they wrong you, things like that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make your voice heard and having a conflict if necessary, right? But there are things that you can't change, right? And usually these are things in the past. And there's the Death card, there's the old conflict here, bottom of the deck. We have to get away from that, right? Get away from that old conflict and taking up responsibility. Do not fight the old. Focus everything that you've got on what you want to create. And I see you exactly doing that in this reading, but it is not something you do like one day, right? It's a constant way of operating, a constant way of being, I would almost say. That you just express yourself and be yourself authentically, unapologetically, taking a divine humble pride in yourself with all of your shadow and light aspects, and you're just taking responsibility no matter what happened. And doing that, learning to apply it needs you to be rested, centered, and, balanced. So you got your big balancing thing here. This is balancing out your life. Keep that, maintain it, be grateful for it. Things will just flow. There's the Queen of Pentacles. Everything is nice in that regard. So you can rely on that. And then you focus on what you want to create on top of that as self-expression, as actualization of your highest potential, things like that, right? But to balance that, the stable foundation, earthly matters, pays the bills, right? And meditation. I say this again and again, and I preach it in all of my readings almost. Do meditate. If you have never meditated, by all means learn to meditate. And learning to meditate, you start by just sitting for 5 minutes and shutting the fuck up. And if you can shut the fuck up and sit still for 5 minutes, then you already achieved a great deal of what it means to meditate. You might not really meditate yet, but if you cannot sit still for 5 minutes and just bear everything that is, which is harder than you think, just to sit with everything that is, and not running away, not making up stories. You will make up stories, but then you realize, oh, I'm making up stories. And when you realize that, you're making up another, and then you just let it fly by, all of your thinking, all of your thoughts, like you're watching clouds, and then you're meditating. So do that, learn that. And Deva magic. Let the magic happen, because the universe is conspiring. If you focus your energy in a certain direction, just by focusing that energy in that direction, you're already co-creating, right? With everything that is beyond your control. You're just imprinting your intent into the universe, right? And that's kind of Deva magic, incredibly small. Nanoparticles exist in strange invisible realms. We cannot see them because they are so incredibly small. And yet these invisible objects hold immense power that influence and shape our world. There's a visible reality and an invisible one. Both are equally real. Within the strange world of nanoparticles, there are worlds within flower cups, cities in buds, and universes in dewdrops. This card is asking you to look against something you've discounted or considered irrelevant, may hold great potential and power. I don't see you having overlooked anything here, but the most important part of this card, and the most important message of this card, is to co-create with the universe. Co-create with the universe. Taking responsibility, what I talked about, right? Not saying, it was her fault, his fault, Then you're trying to give up responsibility. But you always, responsibility, no matter where guilt lies, guilt is always disempowering, pointing into the external, into the past usually. Your power is always here, and you have to take responsibility of it. And that's exactly what I'm seeing you doing here. Sometimes life stings. Sometimes life stings, and maybe sometimes you have to sting. It's not just that life stings sometimes. That's wasp spirit. Come on, where are you? 64. Wasp spirit. Not all that spirit creates in nature is easy to love, but when we look through the eyes of wasp spirit, we recognize that even though sometimes life stings, there's a purpose for pain, just as there's a purpose for wasps in the natural world. Wasps keep insect populations down, supporting the growth of plants. So too, The sting of life may hurt, and you may feel deeply disappointed or even resentful that more spirit has shown up, but you will soon come to see that spirit has something wonderful in store for you. You may well come to realizing that being stung led to something far better than you had envisioned for yourself. Perhaps behind the scenes spirit was conspiring with spirit to ensure that you could grow something of value for you. Spirit has a plan, and spirit plays its part. Have you ever looked back and been glad your prayers weren't answered because the path you took led to something far better? Spirit is a reminder to reflect on those times, for today's sting may hurt, but something better awaits you. Yeah, and that's something better that awaits you. You already know what that is. I mean, when I look at the cards and the constellation here, I think that stung was in the past. And bottom of the deck, as I said, that's a dirty fight, winning the dirty fight, but there's this feeling attached to it. Why the F did we had to do this? I didn't want to do this. You were dragged into it, dirty fight energy. Something got spilled, you lost something, maybe you had other plans, right? And these plans were kind of crossed by whatever happened. That's your West spirit, right? But you were a little blocked, you were a little, so something had to snap you out of this, right? Maybe that sting was necessary. And let's not forget, there's the poisoned cup among those 3 cups that fell down. And you still got 2 cups standing. And the victory in all of this, the wisdom in all of this, is that you're taking these 2 cups and you're making something out of it. So yeah, maybe spirit had to kick your butt to get there, but I'm seeing you absolutely being there and taking responsibility. Be a friend to yourself. Be a friend to yourself, and I'm seeing you doing that. Never argue with a fool. Be a friend to yourself. Never argue with a fool. That's pretty much this energy, right? You're processing your thing, you're taking responsibility, you're focusing your energy. You got too much good stuff to create and to do than to care about what other people think. Never argue with a fool. Be a friend to yourself. And wherever the bird with no feet flew, she found trees with no limbs. Audre Lorde. What else do we got? Yeah, if you really want to piss off people, you can do 2 things. Attain some happiness or tell the truth. If you really want to piss off people, you can do 2 things. Attain some happiness or tell the truth. Tennessee Williams. Whatever it is that you're doing, do it because it means something for you. Do it, it comes from a joyful inner place, not revenge, not resentment. That's attached to the concept of guilt, the past. But if you're taking responsibility, it's all about creating the new, coming from a place of self-love, self-respect, abundance, curiosity, right? Joy in what it is that you're doing. Divine humble pride has nothing to do with resentment, pain, revenge, You can go for justice, but I think the chapter of justice comes in if the universe is going to reward you by just taking responsibility and letting go of that old sting chapter. But the sting chapter, the real blessing happens when you get the curse first, and then you get the blessing. And those who don't see that, those who only see one side of it, they always go for the blessing. They always want the blessing now. We need the blessing now. But when you get the blessing first, you get the curse later. And they will realize that very soon. But you had the sting in the past, the curse, so to speak, and now you're realizing the blessing by coming back to your own responsibility, co-creating with spirit and the universe. And that's all I got, and I hope it resonates with you. And if it does, share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it and whether I should this reading was very broad picture, right? There are many fundamental Hierophant lessons in duality, lessons in duality interwoven in this reading. So you can explore that, and I'm going to make videos that are a little more focused on the individual concepts that I'm trying to integrate in what it is that I'm doing here. So that's all I got now, Vidaya. Ciao.